Beard culture. I cut my way out podcast. Tune us in. We on the grind like. I put the clippers in my hand. I got a whole different plan. I gotta see how this play out. Hoping that it pay out. Trying to cut my way out. Yeah, I put the clippers in my hand. I got a whole different plan. I gotta see how this play out. Hoping that it pay out. Trying to cut my way out. I used to dream as a kid on the porch of the crib and make it big and one day endorse where I live.
Bomb biggity bombs. We are back. The I Cut My Way Out podcast extraordinaire. What you call it? Extraordinaire. We got company, but my gracious and esteemed family member, colleague, co-host, we in the building. What's going on?
Back at it, man. Man, Christmas Eve. We grinding, man, and excited to have a guest in the building, man. So let's get it cracking.
Yes, sir. So this guest, he not a barber, but he cut his way out.
I do come on here.
Oh, look at you. Okay, well, he cut his way out. He got it out the mud. I think he got it out the mud. So even though you're an unofficial barber, I think you exude the essence of this podcast.
Absolutely. And it's all going to tie in because the knowledge that he can provide is imperative, not only for barbers but everybody. But it definitely correlates into the platform. So yes, sir.
So yeah, he from the soil, Champaign-Urbana raised. He in Dallas now, and we'll let him tell us what he does. And without further ado,
before we get there, can I got a little backstory, right?
Oh, quick. Absolutely.
Okay. So this young man, I never forget. So didn't know him per se. Knew who he was when I laid eyes on him, because I mean, genetics are just as strong, right? So I knew the cloth he was cut from. Knew parents and whatnot. We stay in a smaller town, but I met him at Parkland College, right? We were both students. I was the oldest student. Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. You sure?
Yeah. Okay. So right. He gonna say you got it out the soil, man.
Yeah, nah. I appreciate it.
Okay.
So I was watching this young man. Just kind of how he moved around Parkland, man, and like I said, when I laid eyes on him, I knew exactly his bloodline, or at least one side at that time. Went on to meet him and found out, I knew his mother and other side of his family as well. But I just watched him. I watched how he moved, and he had that schoolboy look. You know what I'm saying? That the bent curved hat, the polo type boots. He looked like he was in academia. But as I watched him move, I said, man, this young cat, he moved different than a lot of cats from the town, and I know where he's from, right? So shortly, a couple semesters later, we ended up having a class together, and just got to get to know him, but also just observe how intelligent, and how mild-mannered, how humble he was. And I said, man, we were talking, said, man, this cat, he's gonna go some places, man. He's special. With that being said, we ended up at the end of that class also doing a project together. We both did well in the class and had an opportunity to present to the class for an A with honors. And so we did a presentation together. He brought his mom, he brought his grandmother. And man, I am extremely proud of this young man. As I watched him move, I knew he was destined for great things, man, and happy that, he represents the town, man, straight up.
I appreciate that.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate
yes,
that.
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we, I mean, he go by a few names. So we were just trying to make sure that, we got everything down packed before we introduce him. But he said either one, but I'll probably refer to you as both during the show. But we're gonna keep it day one for the intro. We got Mr. Quantrell Hedrick in the building. Mohan clap. and he brought his brother. He brought his brother. We ain't got enough mics. We ain't got enough for our YouTube viewership. We don't have enough wide angles for this little space. But my family too. DeMario, Hot Mix. I didn't go over it with them. You know what I'm saying? As far as what they wanted to be referred to on wax, but
it's my confidant
for sure. Yeah. So we got DeMario in the building. So we gonna get him in and tell his story. He has some things going on himself, but yeah, Quantrell, thank you for joining us. I know you not currently don't reside here, so the fact that you just rocking with us, taking the time to rock with us, man, we definitely appreciate you.
For sure. I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it, man. After that intro, after him talking about how y'all met, I remember knowing you had hoop dreams and exterior forces kind of deaded those, but I just remember a few years ago, probably about 5, 6, you were still in high school. Y'all was kicking it. One of my other cousins, Jordan, was trying to get to where y'all was at, and his mom wasn't trying to drop him off. His brother wasn't trying to drop him off.
I remember that night.
So I dropped him off, and then I called to make sure I was at the right house, and I just I said something, kind of inappropriate, and I was just like, and the way you responded, I just knew you was a real one, because you just responded in such a cool way, and I was like, oh yeah, he a real one,
I appreciate that.
And I leave it at that, because he is a professional. So we really got a lot to talk about and really want to cover some things. But again, man, like this my third platform that I just always want, when you're home, I just want to rock with you, because I think you got a lot to give, and the invitation is always, the door is always open when you hear it. If you got something going on, I mean, with the times we in, we got phone opportunities. So
okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So but yeah, so who is Quantrell? Like, tell us a little bit about your journey, and cap it off to where you're at now, what you're doing, so we can really dive in.
Yeah, I'm like y'all said, I'm from Champaign, Illinois, born and raised. I'm a Hedrick, so Wes and Shorty and Benny, those my uncles. Marie was my grandmother. Ray niece dead here at Henry's. So my great granny lived in Bradley McKinley. So all over Champaign, and me and Hot Mix grew up together too. We was, to fast forward, if you put all that stuff together, that tell you enough about the trials and tribulations that we endured growing up. But we both went to Parkland right after high school, and we was just talking about, like, for the majority of the time, we was going with the motions, and just like, we here, but we ain't really here with a purpose. And then Mix had this day, and we both remember the day, but it was just like, it all just felt like it was like crumbling, like it's over, this is too much, XYZ. And we were saying that both of us went through a similar period like that, and that was the point where, like, our backs was against the wall, and instead of like falling and being like, all right, well, I give up, I tried the college thing, it wasn't for me, I tried to be different and break barriers and this and that, but it's too hard, so I'm gonna just do something else. And not that people that can't get over that barrier, not that they any weaker, it's just we it was important to us that we follow through with that. And I went on to Howard University, which is an HBCU, and so did Mix. He went to a HBCU, which is Lane in Tennessee. And from there, man, I just always looked at it like I knew where I came from and what it would be like if I had to come back home. And I wouldn't have like a family to give me a business or give me a job, or even people, friends and family to give me a reference to a job that would give me like a good, fair, quote unquote fair lifestyle. So it was all or nothing. So I just man, it was rough. College for me wasn't really like the party. Any of my homies from school would tell you, like I party, but not much. I was just always studying or trying to get an internship or trying to go meet somebody to connect the dot, because it was like I was on borrowed time, because I didn't graduate from college till I was 25. And then from there, I just thought that I had a lot of internships on Capitol Hill, so I thought I would work in government in some capacity, but it just I was burnt out by my senior year. So I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And one of my wife's friends she had a job with a financial firm and sent me a referral, and I was able to get the job, and that was that. And it was in finance at Charles Schwab as a stockbroker, and I just loved it. It was like the challenge. It's always something new. It's always changing. You're always working with different people in different places. And from there, I think the last time we talked, Jinx, I was working on a CFP or about to take it or something. And so I got that now, and now I'm a private wealth advisor. And I just work with like high net worth individuals and families. Some foundations, but mostly individuals and families.
That's what's up. Salute.
Appreciate that. Bro. Appreciate that.
That's what's up. So as we sit here on this platform, some people will probably ask, okay, as they hear your introduction in the financial part, and you're not a barber, because this is a barber platform, how it all ties in. So I'm going to tie it all in. The platform is to educate, inspire, and motivate, right? But with that being said, the educational side is so important, because when we're trying to pave our way and build a legacy and just leaving something for our kids, and just putting ourselves in position to go to the next step. You talked about your upbringing, touched on it a little bit, and being able to come back and not having those connections, so you knew it was all or nothing, right? And so a lot of barbers come from those same situations. And so we're behind the chair, we're getting money, and we're at a point where the industry has evolved to a point where you go to certain areas, you're in Dallas now, right? You could probably go to a barber there and get $100 haircut, right? So the finances in the industry are great, but what are we doing with our money? How are we putting ourselves in a position to make sure that we have that wealth and we build a legacy, not only for ourselves but our loved ones? We talked before we got on air about getting cash money after every haircut and how it's hard to hold on to cash. So tying it in, we want to talk about and just gain knowledge about ways to invest, ways to have retirement plans and things of that nature for those who work behind the chair, but also self-employed and just do their own thing, being entrepreneurs. And so that's how it ties in, because we want to give this knowledge to those who listen to our platform, to know that there are options, because it's a shame when guys are out here charging $100 for haircuts and getting that type of money, and then we look 15, 20 years down the line, you done got all this money and you have nothing to show for it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So just to tie it in, that's where we're at. That's why we're bringing you on, with your expertise and your knowledge, just to inform the listeners, but inform us as well. So that's where we're at. So as I want to piggyback off of that because I'll never forget. I thought you would be, based on the class that we had together, was political science. Shout out to Dr. Fowler. I know he served as a mentor.
The legend.
Yes, sir. That's our man. And so I seen you going in that realm. Matter of fact, I'll never forget. It was between. You were looking at Morehouse at first.
Yep.
And we had that conversation. I'll never forget it. And you ended up going to Howard, and I never forget seeing your mom, because your mom got back in school as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, she was an older student like I was. And so you were there after the first semester. So she stopped me as we was passing. She said, I just wanted to let you know, my baby, after the first semester, he got a scholarship. She was so extremely proud. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. So we just want to discuss how did you get in? You talked a little bit about it, but what made you go the direction of finances, and what does financial literacy mean to you and its importance?
It means everything. I think it's the only way for anybody to gain real independence is to become financially literate and understand how to manage your money the right way. But like you said at the beginning, we were having that conversation about barbers and getting cash. And my mom did hair my entire life up until I was like maybe 23 or something like that. She did hair, and it was the same thing. And I think it's what
and not to cut you off, I totally, when we were talking about bringing you on, I totally forgot that your mom was cold with me.
Yeah,
she had a name, and I totally forgot
that.
It really didn't, knowing your mom, but it didn't even register bringing you on to talk about. So again, that ties in as well, because you know all too well, because your mom did it for years.
Yep.
She did it for a number of years.
Yep. And the what I noticed from hairstylists and barbers is it's just like some other trades where you could get cash back to back, like you just said. Right. It's a lucrative business. So today I can go and make $500 easy cutting hair.
Right.
If I made that today, my mindset's gonna tell me I can go tomorrow and make the same 500. Right. So this 500 I made today, I can do whatever with.
Absolutely.
I can give him 100. I can buy something to drink. I can go get something to eat, buy new shoes, whatever. You know what I mean? You can. It's just too.
That California.
It's just you can that's the mindset. But if you can get that mindset under control, because for many reasons, like being a barber is very lucrative to me. And I'm biased because I grew up with my mom being a hairstylist. But to me, if you didn't go like the college route or any of that, if you could go and learn how to be a barber or a stylist, even if that's not your passion, if you can go learn it, that's one of the ways where you can get a lot of money quick.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're good at it, obviously you got to be good at it. But if you can have a mindset to know that though I probably can go tomorrow and make the same $500, I work in an industry where everybody's not always gonna pay whatever my prices are. I might lose customers. I might want to move to a different shop. I might want to move to a different state. And all those times, it requires you to basically build new clientele. Right. So if you know you in a business where wherever you go, it's not likely that you can take your clientele with you. Right. You can foresee that you probably gonna be in some financial situations where you need money saved up. So similar to, I'm trying not to think like negatively. I'm thinking about like people that's doing crazy stuff, having money for lawyers and stuff like that. As a barber,
we're very informal, but professional. So I get why you're choosing your words and your examples wisely.
But similar to that, where like I'm doing things where there's a risk. You doing things where there's a risk too. It's just a different risk.
Absolutely.
So just like they need money for lawyers and bond and that type of stuff, you should have money put aside for rainy days.
Absolutely.
Just in general. That's before any investing. The rule is called an emergency fund. And the rule is 3 to 6 months, depending on if you single or together or married. So if you married, 6 months of whatever the expenses are, that if I'm fired today, if I get my hands cut off and I can never cut again, what bills never go away? Those bills, you should be able to cover those for 6 months if you married or in a relationship, because it's 2 of y'all, and 3 months if you single. That's period before any investing go on or anything like that. So I think that's step one.
Absolutely.
So why 3 months for what's the so for if you single 3 months, so why is it what's that logic?
So I'm honestly not sure where the 3 months came from. It's just a industry rule that you learn. Emergency fund is you should have 3 months of expenses saved up. But I know that the 6 months come from if it's 3 months for one person,
for sure.
6 months for two people.
Right. And I just figure it's a little easier just to take care of yourself if it's just you.
And it's like a logical amount of time for if it's you know what I mean, something hit the fan.
Logical.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I got you.
It'll probably take you a month and a half, 2-3 months to get back situated. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I know that you service a lot of wealthy clients. We're not that, you know what I'm saying? So the first gem you dropped is the 3 to 6 months. So let's just say we have the 3 to 6 months. We're independent contractors or what, we'll just stay like independent contractors or barbers.
Okay.
So we have that. Now what's next?
So then from there, I would say to make sure that debt is subjective. Some people can have, like I have friends that have $160,000 in student loan debt because you went and got advanced degrees and all this other stuff. But then they can be cool with it. Like, well, that's just something that's going to be there. I'm going to pay the minimum for the rest of my life, and it is what it is. Or whenever it go away, 25 years or whatever. Then there's other people that can have $10,000 to $15,000, $20,000 of debt, and it just eat them up every single night. So depending on what type of person you are, I would try to make sure that my debt is at least manageable, and I have quote unquote good debt, like student loan debt, not in excess, is good debt. A car payment, because you gotta have a car. Mortgage, that type of debt is fine. But other, like if I have outstanding credit cards, personal finance loans, that type of stuff, that would be the next housekeeping thing that I would do after the 3 to 6 months of savings.
Okay.
And this is it's a process, so I can keep going. It's steps.
Right. So one of the things that I've been doing some research on as someone who worked in the school system for a number of years, vested in retirement, but then jumped out and just barbered full time. Been barbering 20 years, but just said, man, let me jump out there and go get it, right? So what options for whether it be barbers, independent contractors, entrepreneurs, in terms of when we talk about retirement, what are the options that are available, to make sure you do right by your money? And just to piggyback off that one, what is a decent amount to put into those retirement investments or whatever you would call them to make sure it builds?
Yeah, so this is another thing that's, so like a lot of personal finance is more art than what's the other word? More art than technical.
Okay.
And with this another thing that's like what are my options? So number one, you mentioned earlier like Roth IRAs, but we also mentioned earlier that
can you explain what the Roth?
Yeah, so a Roth IRA versus a regular IRA is just that when you put money, you can put the same amount in each one. The difference is the Roth IRA has an income limit. So if you one of those barbers that charge $100 a head and you make too much money, you might not be able to contribute to a Roth. But you can still contribute to an IRA. The difference is when you take money out of an IRA, the money is taxed. Each dollar is taxed at whatever income bracket you at.
Okay.
But when you take money out of a Roth IRA, it's not taxed because you put after-tax dollars in there. So it's like you got your check, cashed your check, and then went down to the Roth IRA, man, and said, and it's a limit each year. The limit is like $6,000. If you over 50, it's like $6,500.
Okay.
Went to the Roth, man, and said, here go my $6,000 for this year. See you next year. Remember, you cash your check, got your cash, took it to him. With the regular IRA, it's like you coordinating with your job on the back end, like how they withhold taxes, and you saying, before y'all send me my money or whatever, or before you pay, or at the same time you send me my money, pay taxes, pay Medicare, Social Security, all that, put that in the IRA for me. So it's pre-tax.
Okay.
So the government, like, yeah, we letting you save all this money. Every year we letting you save $6,000, and then you can invest that money so it can be growing even higher. And while it's growing, there's no taxes on that. So all these accounts are tax deferred. So it's growing without you paying taxes, but the government is like, you gotta pay me at some point. So that's why with the IRA, when you take money out, then it's tax on each dollar. But with the Roth, you remember you already got tax because they tax your check.
Right.
So then you put it in there. So people that get a Roth, they feel like there's also something called, not to get too technical, but it's something called a Roth conversion. So let's take one of those barbers that make too much money to invest in a Roth. But
now, when you say too much money, give an example.
I would say if you single, if you make more than, I don't know, it could be from 150 to 225 or something like that.
Okay.
But don't quote me. You can just Google Roth IRA contribution limits. That's it.
Okay.
And then it'll tell you, like, this how much you can contribute and this your income level or whatever.
Okay.
So with the Roth conversion, you make too much money a year to put money in the Roth. So your only option is this IRA.
Okay.
But you also thinking like, man, later on in life, my tax bracket just gonna keep going up because I'm gonna have businesses and I'm gonna still be working and I'm gonna have real estate. So since right now I'm probably as broke as I ever be, I'm gonna have way more later. I want to pay the taxes now so that later when I'm taking it out, I'm not taxed. Because remember, every dollar the IRA come out. So you can do a Roth conversion where that money that you've been putting the IRA in, you convert that to a Roth. So let's just say you got $50,000 in this IRA. You saying, I want to do a Roth conversion. Then they'll convert it for you. But on that, let's just say you in the 24% tax bracket. They'll say, okay, Ash, we're going to convert your IRA to a Roth. So now you got a Roth IRA, but you owe us $13,000.
Okay.
But after you pay that, you done. So the Roth, you still going to invest it. And then later on, excuse me, my bad. Later on, the $50,000 now that done grew to $150,000, and you could just take it out with no consequences.
So also, can you explain to the listeners, for some who may not know, exactly what an IRA stands for?
Yeah, independent retirement account.
Okay.
Cool. And as an independent contractor, a business owner, you heard the limits for the IRAs, but you can also there's IRAs called like SEP IRAs, SEP IRAs, and it's one other one that small business owners can get. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but there are IRAs that allow you to put even more money in than these regular ones, because people like me that work for somebody, I get a 401k. Mario worked for WCIA, so they set up all that type of stuff for us. Right. You your own boss, so it's plans that you can put in place for yourself to say, all right, saving $6,000 a year is not going to be enough. Right. So maybe you save the $6,000 there and get a SEP IRA, and I think you can save up to like $22,000 or $18,000 or something in there a year.
Okay.
But that's all tax deferred money. So I was just telling this to one of my homegirls that I went to college with. She was telling me that this dude, he he a real smart guy, but he had, the way that his program is set up is you pay him like a monthly fee to manage, and he'll manage like your work 401k or whatever. But obviously he want your money to get in there and grow as quick as possible. So then instead of charging you a monthly fee, he can charge you like a flat fee on assets under management. So I'll charge you 1% on your $1 million, you know what I mean, every year. So he had her contributing like 15% out of each one of her checks. And she like, man, why my check so little? Like, I'm like, why you contributing so much to your 401k? Because people could argue and tell you that I'm wrong, but my way of looking at it is, I don't want all my money tied up in a tax deferred account that I'm gonna have to worry about. Like, also, it's rules that come with those accounts, like the you can look up Roth IRA distribution rules, regular IRA traditional IRA distribution rules, but you got to be like a certain age, so you got to get up to like 59 and a half.
59 and a half, yep.
Okay. Yeah, 59 and a half before you can touch the money. Little stuff like that. It's like, I don't necessarily want to have somebody else having that much control over my money, so I'll invest in a taxable account. The downside is, let's just say I bought XYZ stock for $10, it grew to $20, and then I sell. I realize the $10 gain, because remember I bought it for 10, sold it for 20. Now I got to pay taxes on that $10 that I earned, because it's in a taxable account. If it was in a retirement tax deferred account, I wouldn't have to pay tax on that $10 gain. But yeah, I had to pay out taxes, but I could do whatever I want with this money. Right now I can go put it in with Osh and buy a barbershop. I can invest in y'all podcasts. I can, you know what I mean? I like that. I like to have access to my money. So I only put 6% a year in my 401k, and then the rest I just invested on my own in a taxable account.
Okay. And I don't mean to hog the question. Like, I'm really
no.
I'm taking this in.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with the IRAs, whether it be the Roth or the traditional, what type of interest on that limit of $6,000? So what's the benefit of putting that in?
So when you think interest, then that's gonna be investments that are like cash equivalents. So like money market securities, bonds, CDs from the bank, that type of thing. So that's when you're dealing with interest, where somebody ahead of time is going to tell you, and you could get fixed interest rates, or you can get variable or whatever. But at the end of the day, whichever one you have, somebody is telling you that this is how much money you can make. You can make 3% a year if you come to this bank. You can make 2.5% if you buy this bond. You can make 5% if you buy this CD. That's interest. But when you invest in, the sky's the limit. So like with the $6,000, you could invest it all into a stock that doesn't really move as much throughout the year, like a GE, General Electric, where you would they pay dividends, but you won't. Next year, your $6,000 likely to be $6,000 or $5,900, $6,100. It's not really gonna move. Or you can use your $6,000. I think I just saw this. As a matter of fact, a dude like put $10,000 in a Tesla right when they IPO'd, and then now he a millionaire. But I think they IPO'd when they're 2012, 2015, something like that. Whenever they IPO'd, he had to wait some time, but it just depends on what your investment is. But as long as you're investing in actual security stocks, then it's no set interest rate. So that's why you get with somebody like me, or you don't have to get with somebody like me, actually. So Warren Buffett, y'all know Warren Buffett,
of course,
the Oracle of Omaha. He'll tell you that you don't need somebody like me. You just need what's called index funds. So like the main ones they talk about on TV is the Dow. They talk about S&P 500. They talk about the Russell 2000, and all that means. So like the S&P 500 is 500 of the biggest and best companies in America. So what Warren Buffett's saying is, you, instead of hiring somebody like me to manage your money and pay me 1% or whatever, 1.5%, however much money you got, instead of doing that, just take your $6,000 and open you an account at like Charles Schwab or Fidelity, where you can call and talk to a licensed stockbroker and tell them, like, I'm just trying to get an index fund, and they'll put you in the right ones there. So you want your portfolio to be diversified, but if you ain't like paying somebody to be going in there and getting in the nitty gritty, then you don't got to be like crazy diversified. Like if you just getting started, you just want like a balance of stock versus bonds. So like how you mentioned interest. So you want, the rule of thumb is you take 100 and whatever your age is, subtract that. That's how much you should be investing in stocks. It's like me and Mick's 30. He'll tell you 31, but we 30. And so you take 100 minus 30, and that's 70. So 70% of our portfolio should for sure be invested in stock, because we got time.
70%?
Yeah, 70%.
Okay.
In stock. If we 30 years old, if you 50 years old, then at least 50% should be in stock.
Because that time limit, that span is shorter. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, tell our listeners what diversifying means. Because I heard it for a while. I didn't know what the hell it meant. I do now, but just, Yeah,
it's just not having all your eggs in one basket. So if you at what's the name? If you cutting hair, then you have one source of income, and that's it. You haven't diversified anything. If anything happens with you come in tomorrow, somebody stole all your clippers.
You hoop and you break something.
That's why I stopped hooping.
For real.
I ain't hooped in 5.5 years.
Me neither. That's not for our age group. That's for young guys that's beneath 21 years old, in my opinion, unless you're in the NBA.
But my thing is, I just couldn't, man. If one year, man, I broke. I was working in the school district. I was hooping, and Reese trying to reach, hacked, and broke my damn thumb.
Oh no!
And this was right before Thanksgiving when we lived in Atlanta. Going into Christmas, I had a cast on. I couldn't get no bread. Now, granted, I worked in the school district, so I had a check coming, but I couldn't cut.
Yeah.
So once I started cutting full time and really start putting that extra energy, I ain't touched the ball.
So that's the bottom line. If you broke your thumb, but you diversified, so this ain't your only source of income. You got some real estate, check gonna be coming in from that, some mailbox money. You got some stocks that's paying you dividends. You got money coming from that. So that's being diversified. But being diversified within your investment portfolio is just saying that, like I just said, the S&P 500. It's some people that'll go put their whole 6,000 in the S&P 500. But a year this year didn't turn out too bad. But take a year like 08, 09, the financial crisis. That affected the whole world, but it slammed America. So if all your money is invested in American companies, then you're not diversified. And diversifying is also not. Some people would do like they'll buy Apple, they'll buy Google, they'll buy Amazon. So I got 3 different stocks. I'm diversified. All 3 of those stocks are in the same sector though. You just got 3 technology stocks. So you got to think like you got to think from a sector standpoint. Sectors like healthcare, industrials, technology, finance. Those are the sectors. It's probably like 14 sectors. But then you also got to think regional. So like, if you like, I know some people that just like technology. So I say, okay, you like technology. Let's buy these companies in Asia that are technology companies. Let's buy these companies in America that are technology companies, and then these companies in like South America. Okay. So now you got your tech fix, but it's diversified over 3 different regions.
I got a question. So the last time I talked to you before the holiday, Tesla and Apple announced a split. And I hit you and I said, man, I'm 6 years old. What does that mean? And you said they just making it better. They're just making it more affordable for average people to buy in. So case in point, I took my children, my auntie and uncle would send them $150, $200 a year. So I put it in a credit union. So I was, I would do that every year. So I had about a thousand, and so they sent me, the credit union sent me a letter, basically said no action, no activity. So we're gonna close this account or do something. So it was just perfect. So when I hit you, and so I had $1,000, and so I threw it in Tesla and Apple, and
how'd that work out for you?
I mean, Tesla's working out great.
That's what's up.
I mean, but that was that. So basically, you pretty much was like, well, they're forecasting this, and then I thought about you because I think December 21st, Tesla joined the S&P.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the exact date, but you're right.
So then you said, and so this is where you get to talk again, but so then you said, well, I'm more into mutual funds. So, can you talk about mutual funds now you talked about the IRAs, and now you said that what you do is mainly mutual funds, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So can you kind of just explain what mutual funds are and just kind of tie it in versus stock, or and how that makes people money?
For sure. So a mutual fund is like, using an analogy, if it's March Madness and you betting on Illini, how many? It's 16 teams in March Madness.
64 normally.
Yep.
Oh dang! What? I'm thinking about Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say it's down to the Sweet 16, and Illini is still in there, and you want to put all your money on Illini. Well, that's 1 out of 16 teams. If they lose, even if they make it to the Final Four and lose, you out. But that's thinking about buying one stock, Illini.
Okay.
But if you think about buying a mutual fund, then you can say, all right, instead of buying Illini, where if they win, obviously my payout gonna be bigger because I'm putting all my money in this one thing. Instead, I take this nice round number, $100. Instead of putting $100 in Illini, I'm gonna put $100 in what's our conference?
The Big Ten.
The Big Ten conference. So now it's Illini, Michigan State, Michigan, and Iowa all in the Sweet 16. Illini lose, Michigan State lose, Iowa lose, but then Michigan end up winning the whole thing. So you didn't win as much as you would have won if Illini would have won and you bet it on that one stock, but you still won because you bought a basket of stocks, which is what a mutual fund is. So it just increased your exposure to win. But that's similar to like an index. So if you buy the S&P 500, that's 500 companies. So same thing in a mutual fund. You just buying more instead of trying to figure out what the next Tesla is. Instead, just it's something called dollar cost averaging. So out of every one of your checks, you can pick like your indexes you want to invest in or the mutual funds you want to invest in, and then out of each check, you just put the same dollar amount. And over time, you're gonna buy some expensive, you're gonna buy some low, but over time it's gonna even out. And if you do the math on it, that's the cheapest way to buy into stocks. So even if you're doing like some mutual funds got minimums, but I know you can get one for as little as like $100. So you pay the first $100, but every time you invest, you don't have to put $100 in there every time. You can put $25 every week or $50 every week, and all of this stuff can be set up automatically. You just got to set up the account. I know about other firms, but the ones that I know are intuitive and easy to work with are Charles Schwab and Fidelity. And all of this stuff, they can just talk you through it on the phone. You could tell them like, I want to be able to put in $50 every week, and then they'll say, okay, this is how you do it, this is where you go, this is where you put in your account information. what investments do you want? You tell them, I want it to be diversified. I'm a beginner. I know that mutual funds are probably better than picking individual stocks, and they'll show you like, okay, well, here go these, here go the ratings, here go the track record, all of that. It's free. They'll explain it to you. You just got to get started with the account.
So I'm at school on Christmas Eve. real tough.
Christmas Eve. Whoa, man! Don't do
That was the wrong effect, wasn't it?
Don't do it. Yeah. Oh man!
Tell him that ain't
that ain't the one. Got the cool. Got the cool eye.
Man,
Wait, but I do want to say this too, though, on the money thing, on the saving in the bank account. So I believe that most things in life come down to psychology, how you treat your friends, how you treat other people, how you treat yourself, what you eat, whatever. I think it all like it got some like root to back in your family lineage or something. So with black people, people try to say, oh, black people don't invest and this and this and that. It's a fear because back in the day, and don't quote me on this, you can go do your own research, but we saved up, and I ain't even talking about Greenwood and Black Wall Street. Mm-hmm. We saved up all this money, invested all this money at the Freedmen's Bank. Remember, after they freed us, Abraham Lincoln was like, they got to have a way to build some money up. So the Freedmen's Bank, that's our bank. We putting money in there, investing it, we getting paid, taking it down every week. They took all the money and built like one of the buildings that's next to the White House. Just took it. So you like, man, I've been saving for 10 years. It's gone. You don't got nothing. So that type of psychology, I think, is what led us to like putting money under the mattress, putting money in the shoebox because we scared of somebody coming to take
backyard.
The backyard, which don't work.
Right.
Word to Nip.
I was going to say, Nip taught us that.
Yeah, so but when the most important thing is, let's say you got $100,000, right? You put it in a bank account and you thinking, I'm doing right because I saved. I put my whole $100,000 in the bank. I didn't spend a penny. And then I'm going to keep it in there for 10 years before I even touch it. Well, the problem with that is when you put it in the bank, how much is your interest rate right now?
Look, the
not
money,
even 1%.
The money I'm talking about that for my children, 2 cents a month.
Okay, so you getting 2 cents a month on that. Just think, compound that over 10 years. You still it didn't do anything for you. Right. But at that same time, it's called inflation, which is the cost of living. Every year, that's why when you go to the store, you're like, man, this milk used to be $2.50, now it's $3. Oh, gas used to be $3, now it's $4.50. So the cost of living every year is going up, but your money is staying the same, so you losing purchasing power. So you gotta know that like inflation is a real thing, and you actually losing money and being counterproductive by just saving it in the bank account, because that's not gonna be enough when you pull it out later.
My wife gonna listen to this and the antenna's gonna go straight up, bro.
Yeah.
For real. For real. Because like you said,
I got one more. Brace yourself. Which one y'all like? Real
talk. Because I am one of those individuals, and that's why we chopped it up. Like I reached out to you one time just on Facebook, said, man, I need to get with you because I want to do something. And I think it's psychological. I have trust issues, bro. Mm-hmm. And when you come from the bottom, or you come from the soil, or you come from less than, and then you start to build up and do a little something, the thought of being back, like my wife sometimes, like I have a crazy work ethic, right? And I'm scared, like I never forget, I swear to God. And shout out to Jinx, you know what I'm saying? I don't tell many people this, but I never forget. I had kids early. Then me and my wife got together in 96. I have a stepson that's 27 years old. His first day of school, I couldn't afford to buy him a backpack. Swear to God. Jinx gave me the money to buy
I don't remember
my son, my stepson, a backpack. I swear to God.
I believe him, but I don't.
And I never forget. And it's kind of making me emotional. I swear to God. But I know what it's like to be in that position, and I refuse to ever be broke again. I refuse. So when you start looking at saving money and putting money into bank accounts, right? It's hard for me to think, because I got homies who will go cut hair, and shout out to my boy Miel, would go shoot dice that night, and I couldn't fathom it. Like I can't go work all day, be on my feet to 8 to 10 hours, go shoot dice, and possibly lose it all. Right? So when we're talking about saving money, it's hard for me in terms of investing, and I'm looking, but it's hard for me to take that money out of savings and put it here, knowing that there's some risk to it, because I have trust issues. But knowing that my money is not building, it's just sitting, and the way you made it, you broke it down in layman's terms, like really you're decreasing your purchasing power. You know what I'm saying? That's powerful, and I think that happens to so many people in our communities. You know what I'm saying? Just having that trust, because taking that risk, I don't want to be broke again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's facts,
man. And you don't remember? I remember.
I believe you. I gotta believe you, but I don't remember. But
shout out to Tony too. That's my dog.
Yeah, yes sir. I appreciate. Came into life at 2.5 years old.
Been solid since.
Yeah. And I never forget that. In those kind of situations, man. That and excuse my French mama, she listen to all that. That shit is deflating, bro. Yeah. Like for real. I don't never want to be in. I refuse to be in that situation.
Yeah.
So, all right, y'all youngsters. So this 2 parts. He got a son, and I'm talking to his son with this question. How old is Elash?
23.
23, just had a child, cut hair. What's your advice to him as far as to invest and really? Let's just assume he got 3 months saved. Let's just assume he got a little money in the bank. Let's just assume. So he got a child now. Talk to him through just this show. What should he be thinking?
How old is the child?
Just
about a week.
A week and a half. Almost 2 weeks old.
I would say that he on the right track for sure, for having the trade, and then having the mindset to want to get his life in order financially. So that's number one. Number two, I would say to definitely start, before he start investing for himself, is something called a 529 plan. And so same thing with the IRAs, where if you put money in, it grows tax deferred. You put money in the 529 plan, and it grows tax deferred. And as long as you take the money out to use it for qualified education expenses, which you can Google what all those are, but I know now they updated it to include like laptops. It could be laptops, it could be tuition, it could be books, it could be, I want to say room and board, but it might just be, what is board? Is board food?
Board is like food.
Yeah, so I think it might just be room, not board. But that's something that when it's a boy or girl?
Boy.
Congrats.
Thank you, sir.
That's something that's like
the third.
Oh, nice. Gotta shout that one out.
Yes, sir.
But when you just think when he 18 years old and his dad been putting $100 a week in a 529 plan, maybe it's not like, so I model plans for financial plans for people. They come to me and say, I have this much money, I spend this much money, this is my tax bracket, these the expenses or whatever that I'm planning for, and then I tell them like how much they can spend or whatever. So I would say that somebody like him, for you to be able to have your kid going to college. Oh, so my point in saying that was when I model college expenses. So let's just say Howard University costs $50,000 a year right now. we assume that it's gonna go up 6% every year. So by the time he in school, it'd probably be $120,000 a year to go to Howard. So if you got the money that you've been investing and you've been returning 3, 5, 6, 7%, you know what I mean? You might not be at however much that is, but it'll feel good to tell your kid, here go $35,000. And you can still go try to get your FAFSA or whatever if the situation's like that. But here go $35,000 that you could use on getting your books, buying you a computer, whatever, and that's tax deferred money that grew.
And I think that's a launching pad. Say a kid doesn't want to go to college. They've taken a trade. They want to be an entrepreneur. At least you're paying it forward and you're providing that launching pad.
Yep. And then so if something like that happened, you might be able to use it for a trade, but you might not.
Really?
But what you can do is pass it to other family members. I think even cousins.
Okay.
And then if you, let's just say, nobody went to college and the trade was the only thing that happened. Not, I ain't saying about. I'm just saying they chose a trade, and it's nothing. It won't be like in his position. It won't be like another 18 years before somebody needs money. So you can say, okay, cool. I'm gonna take the money out, and then y'all could tax me. So whatever you put in, your principal always come back to you, no tax. But whatever growth you experience in the account, they gonna say, all right, you experience $20,000 in profit from this account, and you didn't use it for qualified education expenses. So now we gonna tax this $20,000 at your 24% tax rate, and then the money you can have the rest back in your pocket. Okay. So it's not like you never getting it back.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Not like you lose it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I would say. Number one is to get the kid in order, and then after that, I would open. Like, we just got to get comfortable with investing. And I don't. Since I'm in this business, I also said earlier, like, you don't need to hire somebody like me. So the CFP made it so that I don't only got to talk to people about money. Like, I can talk to you about estate planning, insurance, your taxes, a bunch of different things.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, so first and foremost, state your credentials. Just go ahead and do that before we continue.
Oh yeah, I mean now I lost everything but the CFP, which is the flagship designation, and what I do, certified financial planner. But before that, I had gotten a Series 7, which is like the general license exam, the Series 66, which allows you to like give advice, the Series 63, which is like a state licensing exam, and it like just tell you the laws of the state, what you can and can't do type thing as a broker. And then the insurance license, so life, health, and PNC. But now, since I'm not with a brokerage firm like Charles Schwab, I lost it all. So if I want to use any of that stuff again, I would have to take those exams, but the CFP trumped those. So that's why I can still do what I do without having to have that stuff. And now I'm working on the CFA though, Chartered Financial Analyst, and that's like with the CFP. In order for me to get y'all to like want me to like, yeah, it sound good. Oh yeah, I could talk to Quan and he could help me like make a will. Cool, that's something that I need. I need a will, but there ain't nothing that somebody gonna get out. It's 20 degrees. I'm gonna get out and go be meeting with you and all that, unless I'm, you know what I mean, something traumatic happened and it's on my mind. But if you tell somebody you know how to make them some money, I can turn 10,000 into 20,000 next year. That's what the CFA teach you how to do. So I just realized that with this industry, it's you just got to be able to make money in your sleep, and that CFA is what teach. So it's 3 levels to that, and I'm gonna take the first level in May, and then the next level that next August, and then the next level that next February. God willing, I pass all 3 first time.
That's what's up, man.
Appreciate it.
That's what's up.
Okay, yeah, okay. So we 43 and 44 respectively, late to the game investing. I got some, things going through my job. I just did the split. I put that in through the split. So advice for us.
So that's the other thing. I think that I think most people that excuse me. I had a pop before I came in. My bad. That's
you good, man. Them pops. I
don't drink pops that I was going through
the same thing. That's why I ain't touched it.
I would say, I think that's most people though. They like whatever you do.
Absolutely.
You think that's like the best thing. So if most people that do what I do would tell you like, y'all need to be getting invested. Y'all need to get invested. I agree with that, but I think that. And y'all still young, so I notice like black people, we call ourselves old when we, like I was just saying I'm old, I'm 30 years old, but it's just because we go through so much at a younger age, we age faster than other people, I feel like, but realistically, the IRS say that y'all gonna live at least until age 86. Y'all got like another 40 years of growth, and I would say that same thing with diversifying. To just keep your ears open for opportunity and go look for it. So don't just look at the stock market as an end all be all. Don't like you ever talk to people and you be like, oh man, you should get into stock, and they be like, oh no, I'm good off that, I'm in the real estate. Right. Why not do both?
Right.
That's diversification. Right. So I would say in at your age, I would definitely get into the stock market and have money growing. But I would look at that as like that's my money, that my safety bag. I wouldn't look at that as like this my opportunity to like drastically change my life. Because that could end up being a stepping stone. 5 years from now, you've been investing and you'd have made a bunch of money, and now you're gonna take that out because you found this property that you could buy, and now you got rent coming from that. Then you could take that rent, put it back into an investment. You know what I'm saying? I would just be thinking like that, to like what opportunities can I take advantage of, and use the stock market and real estate and cutting hair and everything as a tool, but start looking at yourself like a business and everything that you're doing like a portfolio. And don't nobody want to be a one-trick pony.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things I be telling myself, like I still ain't.
That young boy got an old school.
For real. I still ain't got more streams of income, and I'm always talking about like that be eating me up, like, cause whether you want to admit it or not, you a one trick pony. Then if that's all you got, if somebody take your job, then you know you could argue, oh, but I could go get another one. True, but then you would be a trick pony over there.
Bottom line.
You know, so
bottom line.
I think that the most important thing is to understand that whatever you doing is not who you are, except for maybe cutting hair, because I feel like barbers are like artists. So maybe if you're a barber, you feel like that is who I am. But if you trying to have your money in order, make sure that you diversifying your barber money.
And the beautiful thing about the industry and its evolution and your ability to follow Barbers on IG, you're seeing the growth of the industry. You're seeing guys and women make money beyond the chair. Like it's on a whole nother level, whether it be apparel products, workshops they're doing. There's so many barbers doing so many great things, and it's just turned into something that people aren't looking anymore to cut hair for 60 years. They're taking that passion and that experience and turning it into something else. They have that expertise, but okay, now what else does the game need that it's missing that I can give?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's the big part. But again, it's just important to make sure that same money, those same monies that are being made are being invested properly. Because one of the things, and Jinx and I plan to also have somebody, on the accountant side, the real estate side, when you go from place to place on a national scale, one thing we don't see is ownership. People love to say, hey, I own my own shop. But in all reality, you own the name. You might own some of the instruments in your shop, but you don't own the building.
Yeah.
So as soon as they say, hey, we're selling the building, or we're doing something else, or it serves no purpose, we're not renewing your contract, you can take that sign, you can take your chairs, your mirrors, and your clippers, you can take that, but you can't set that up on the corner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and so all these things are pertinent, man. So
well, I'm glad you said the tax thing, because y'all got expenses all throughout the year, probably more than any other industry. I remember being a kid and like Miel sending me next door to the Arab or something to get some alcohol. I never kept a receipt from buying him or anybody else alcohol or paper wraps, the thing around your neck. All of that stuff is a business expense.
And they didn't, and not to cut you off, and he and I, we used to have some serious conversations, man, and God, how I would love to see where he would be at this point, man. But it was just, my thinking was always different, you know what I mean? And so all that's important, saving those receipts, because like you said, for tax purposes, and when you, I tell my son all the time, man, when you're in this business, when people who barber don't file taxes, you can make all the money in the world, but you don't have anything.
Yeah,
you can't have anything if you don't do right by the money you make. You have to have a paper trail. This ain't the 80s and the crack era where cats was going to buy houses and cars and cash. That ain't, the early 90s. That ain't this no more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's extremely important, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I would say that so when you ask people about or when people ask you if they need an accountant, then I would say my response is always, it depends on how complex your picture is. Right. So if you as a barber though, I would say to just get you an accountant and pay him $250 or $450 a year or whatever, which is probably less than what you pay TurboTax and H&R Block and all them anyway. But somebody that you can talk to, and that way you can do so like, instead of keeping all your receipts until the end of the year, if you got a relationship with an accountant, you can set up something with him where it's like, every month I'm gonna bring my receipts from this month, and he could be tallying it. So then by the time to pay taxes come, you already good. It's all set up, and you made sure that you accounted for every expense that you actually incurred. So those expenses directly bring down your tax amount.
Instead of trying
more money in your pocket,
keep all that paperwork like I'm still, with the shoebox and manila envelopes, keeping all, what I'm saying, all these different receipts. So that's a good jewel.
Yeah,
that's a good jewel.
So we're an hour in. I don't want to keep y'all too much longer. This is the I Cut My Way Out podcast. We're joined by the esteemed CFP, soon to be CFA, Quantrell Hedrick. I'm interested in this dynamic. Slide hot mix the mic, man. I wanna. So you've been listening. I know this your man's. Like, first of all, just tell us about you. I mean, you've had. I mean, when he was in his introduction, just knowing you and just some of the things that you've had to endure in your life, and just talk to us about y'all relationship and just when he talk money and like, what are y'all conversations about money and just
and how you've grown and learned, you know what I'm saying, from that as well.
Facts. As you know, we family, you know what I mean? Grew up here, like he said, born and raised. My grandparents, so my great-grandparents raised me, of course. I'm Stephanie's son. That was my mom, so that's what made it interesting to really say the least, growing up without your parent that raised you. Meaning my mom taught me a lot of the stand-up stuff I got, as far as just being a true leader, a man. Shout out to my dad, the original Hot Mix. Y'all may know him as well. He was a DJ, so he was one of the ones that had the gym. So he been working at the Park District for a very long time. So he knew a lot of the people. So I get my balance comes from there. My parents, but my great grandparents is where I get the wisdom from. So growing up, Quantrell, he was always a interesting fella. He was always himself. We grew up in similar situations. Like I said, our grandparents and we were just talking about it earlier. Single parent households, meaning the parents probably wasn't together, but that didn't stop us from wanting to do what we wanted to do. We had these conversations often. Like we had them at Parkland, we had them growing up. We was very likable dudes, and we kind of, I think our relationship grew as we got older because we were seeing, like, as you guys, similar. This type of stuff we like. Black excellence, supporting, giving back, and just having a friend like this to see how our peers, how things turned out, how things went south. We was like, like I said, our conversations be so dynamic, man. It'd be like next level, and then kind of hearing it from like this side of it, just like, dang, this is how he even got me into like investing in the 401k stuff with my job, and just certain packages that come with that, and just knowing, like, I know that ain't just him. That's the business. That's the business. He about business, so he gonna make sure that no matter what he do, he gonna do it to his best. That's that Capricorn in him. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just how he, he always was. So when he went to school, like I said, it just taught me too, because that situation he was talking about earlier, that going through them changes, trying to figure it out, kind of being, I guess people would call it privilege from, because if Mr. Kenny, like, fam, like, grandparents, when they had it figured out, they did all this with like a middle school education, so it just, the structure, that's where my structure come from. So like, to be able to see years, like what they was investing, that's the part I seen. So I seen ownership early. I seen my grandparents work their tail off to own homes. The home that I'm living in now, my my own, they owned it. So it's like, they didn't really know past the stuff that we talking about now, like the investing stuff. They just knew stuff that they, get a car, get you a truck, get you a home. So, they showed me that. So seeing a dude like this come from the ground up, and knowing that, he definitely worked his way to that, and listen to him, what I'm saying? And that's probably why he a guest, and like you said, open arms. So our dynamic is just seeing, like, over the years, how the persevering is real, like, not giving up, not having that. You gotta have some real backbone about it, because you see, and as y'all like our elders, like we linked in some way. So when I'm seeing like this podcast taking off, shout out to you, what you doing, what y'all doing, because this is motivation for me to keep going, because I like doing this type of stuff.
You in this space, yeah,
like
exactly,
this my lane. So I see, like, just even then, that's what we was talking about before we got over here. He was like, that's why I wanted to bring you, just because, I'm one of those type of guys that I feel like learning is key. So that's I can learn from everybody some way, even if it's a Tyler. I don't have that simple minded. I don't have a jealous, and y'all wouldn't be here if y'all was jealous of each other, if y'all thought it was competition, because everybody, as you know, can't work together or can't build together. What you building and what you trying to build for these future barbers, that's motivation to how we talk about how, like, we got younger barbers that we know that's growing up, but we were just talking about, when the last time have you really had like that legit barber, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
hey, y'all gotta listen to our previous episode.
Like, it's that deep though. Like, this what brought us together. We remember that, like you said, his mom's cut, so it's like, it's really blood ties. It's not like he got on and then, or made it successful, because like we challenge each other, and that's the good thing about having a friend like that / brother. If you around two successful people, meaning we two successful people, if you're gonna be around us, which is very limited, but you're gonna be that third one. So we try to surround ourselves, because that's how you flock. If you flocking, if you around certain people, you gonna elevate. And Quantrell good at elevating you, because it's like, you like you say, you see where you come from, and he very humble. He gonna be like, nah, bro, that's you, nah. But for real, like, you need that type of friend to show you it's another way, vice versa. He called me for stuff, so it's like having that trust, like as you was talking about earlier, as growing up in the community. You see, like, dang, man, I don't see too many people, like, why isn't this? But nah, we got to be the creators and just be the ones that started. So I appreciate, even him bringing me in, kind of not already knowing who you were. I done seen you cut plenty of time from the community, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's full circle, and I like that type of organic vibe. That's what I be on lately. Just if it's meant to be, it's gonna be.
That's what's up, man.
So one more question, DeMario. Just professionally, have you had to consult with him just as far as just investing and just how you spend? And do you? Because I mean, I if I had somebody that close,
Yeah.
I'd just be like, man.
And that's the thing.
Here's everything. Here's everything.
That's the interesting thing about it though, because he start just like how you doing, and I'm saying it just that's how he give it to you, because you don't want to overwhelm someone, but it's like it start with saving. Right. So once we got serious about that conversation, I started taking that serious, because even though I'm one of them old, like I said, old school type people, I'm like, man, I don't trust none of that. That don't even sound right. You telling me this gonna work in my sleep, this gonna move, this is like, what you talking about? That don't even sound right. Like you said, you got that just in your mind that it don't sound right, but once you start looking at it and the numbers don't lie, that's fact. So it's like I said, I started my savings account with him because of him. I've started the 401k because of him, and it's like some stuff I know he just trying to figure it out, because this whole thing is, cuz once we gonna make it, then it's gonna be straight. But it's like that's the challenging part, that it's like you can't wait on him just to make it, so you got to keep making your moves and making your investments. But then you always got that key, meaning I know if I need to ask him about anything that's dealing for as far as my will, I'm in his will, I'm writing mine, he's gonna be in mine. So it's stuff like that, to where it's like you don't have to just have our own stuff. Your will is so it won't be no confusion, stuff like that. So yeah, it's just like I listen to everything he talk about. So it's like outside of his schedule, and he know I respect that too. Whenever he can lend me an ear, I can lend him. We talk like this as far as future and businesses in the future. It's just like we mastering the patient part, because it seemed like, man, we like first generation people doing this, what I'm saying? Because like I said, we done had all these generations, and we done went past it in a way where people would think or give up, like it's too late, it ain't gonna work, I'm just gonna get rich or die trying. No, it's like the future though, our future kids, our cousins, the generations, your son and his son, like your great grandson, like that's what I learned from, like, cause this gonna help us leave a legacy, meaning when like it's not too late for us, because we still think we young, but we know we getting older, to where knocking on that age of like playtime is over. But the future, this is about the future. So hopefully if things keep going the way it go, our future is bright. So.
And I my fault, Contra, I gotta come back to you, because something just came in my head. How important should retirement be? How Mitch just talked about the future and legacy. How I want to separate living for today, but still looking towards the future in terms of finances. Like, what's that? Help us straddle that fence.
I think the mindset is I never want to depend on someone else to be responsible for my livelihood, because that's basically what you're doing. If you're not saving for retirement, you just like what's your plan? Social Security might not even be a thing. Right. Even for us, all of us in this room, Social Security might not be a thing 20 years from now. So if you didn't save anything, and then Social Security goes away, which is a check that you can start getting at like 62, but even that, Social Security checks, depending on how much you worked and how much you made, those aren't even enough to, like really make a change in your lifestyle, or allow you to maintain your way of living now. So I think that the retirement should definitely be paramount, A, and B, you gotta, like, it gotta get to a point where right now it's like I'm a victim of it too. Like, I like nice things, but we all, I think it's a lot is due to, well, a lot of it comes from social media. Even though we all been wanting nice things, I think that now it's gotten a lot worse, and you want to show that I'm living this lifestyle, I can have this standard of living, but it's very few people that, and I'm not talking about regular people like us. I'm talking about multi-millionaire, rich people. It's very few of them that can afford to live the every Christmas I get a Bentley and my expenses to maintain my house. It's $100,000 for my property taxes. It's $14,000 a month for my utilities and homeowners insurance and HOA fees.
Right.
That type of stuff. You, even if you making that, back to the barber thing, you making all this money, and yeah, right now today you can afford it. But A, you living paycheck to paycheck. B, you if one bad thing, you know, there's a saying like this person is a paycheck or two away from being homeless.
I put my hand up.
And the true story is
real talk.
It's a little different from barbers, because really you ain't paycheck to paycheck, you client to client.
Client to client. So yo lively. That's the other thing that I didn't like about barbers or hairstylists in general, and what I don't like about my job and why I want the CFA, because we work in an industry where no matter how raw you are, you still got to depend on somebody. You know, instead of Elon Musk that make Tesla, you could buy these Teslas or not, but somebody gonna buy these Teslas. We don't work in those type of business. We and Elon Musk can be a rude person. He can be arrogant. We can't. We gotta be personable people. We gotta have good communication, all this other stuff. So if you know that your livelihood is hinging on somebody else, like, why would you not save your money and be prepared for a rainy day and be prepared for retirement? But you also gotta I said all that stuff to say about the rich people maintaining that lifestyle. You gotta understand that most things are a facade. Like, you gotta, if you make $100,000 a year, you got to figure out how to live on $75,000. Right. If you make $50,000, you got to figure out how to live on $35,000. Right. Just is what it is, because then you able to put money up, and you been living on a $35,000 lifestyle. But then when you retire, you got enough to maintain that.
Absolutely.
Instead of living client to client, paycheck to paycheck, and you living, you make $250,000 a year. So every year, every time mixing, everybody see you. You got on the latest, you always here, you always there, doing this, doing that. But as soon as that career or that job is over, all of that is over. Right. You know what I mean? Because you didn't save nothing. Right. You used all that money to maximize your lifestyle. But when you did that, you maximized your money too. Right. Because now it's gone.
And can, you know, for me, and you said a mouthful, but it goes back to it goes back to that mentality, right? So for me, I think even in the public educational system, it is so important, if we're going to make gains, that finances have to be taught early, because we come from environments where, one, if you done went 25, 30 years of your life without having nice things, and then you put yourself in the position where you can afford the nice things, you want them. Exactly. And it's normal. Two, we live in environments where cats are losing their lives at 15, 16, 17, and 18, right? So we're not looking at it from the standpoint of what's going to happen for me when I'm 60. Hell, I'm hoping to make it to 25.
Man.
So I'm going to ball out and drip while I can, because I don't know what tomorrow brings. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate with those mindsets, but in our environment, those are the mindsets that we have, which makes it 10 times hard for us to see that path. But having a young brother from yourself who comes from the situations that you come from, because if anybody from Champaign, you know, lives here, they know you could have went either way. And y'all got partners that took that left turn. You know what I'm saying? You done kept it real. You still humble, but you could have went either way. And that was why I was so impressed when I seen you, because I done worked in these schools, I done lived in this community, I done things that I'm not proud of, but I know a gem when I see them by how they move. You know what I'm saying? And that's something God done blessed me with. You know what I'm saying? when I watched you and I watched how you move and I knew the cloth that you were cut from, I said, man, the way this dude move, he on something different. But I know without even speaking to him, he could go any way. Because when we come from those situations and we don't have those opportunities, we take what God has put in front of us. You know what I'm saying? And we gonna make lemonade out of lemons. If you don't give me an opportunity, I'm gonna make an opportunity. So and that's what I said. Like with the school, when they start putting the locks on the rims, I said if we can't shoot, we'll find a way to shoot. How you want us to shoot? We gonna shoot. I can't tell you it's gonna be a basketball, but you don't let me shoot the J. We gonna shoot. Mm-hmm. So man, to really see y'all in y'all lane, man, and what y'all doing, it's even inspirational for me as an older cat, man, and watching you and having that relationship when we were in school, and just watching your growth, and then watching you still stay humble and doing what you do. You know, I remember that look on your mom's face when she told me you got this scholarship. Just letting you, and it didn't take a basketball, it didn't take a football, it didn't take a baseball. Y'all making the town proud.
Appreciate that.
You feel what I'm saying?
That.
Real talk, man. It's love to see young guys, and then to be able to come back and give us this knowledge. You guys are you giving me something. You know what I mean? Because we don't have that. You know, when my life started to really make a change, it started to be people who looked at things different. So like you said, if you're around 9 broke cats, you bound to be the 10th one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, man, y'all doing some great things.
Appreciate
man.
that.
Keep it up, man. My last question, and not to cut you off, or go ahead and say what you were about to say.
I was just going to shout out my homie one more time. Cause you know he humble too, but
absolutely.
Me and Hot Mix, I used to borrow his. We don't gotta go on the whole thing, but I like to give people their flowers while they can smell them. I used to borrow his bike when we was kids, cause my grandma and my auntie lived right on 110 East Washington, and that's right up the street from his grandma.
Okay. And I was gonna ask that because.
Oh yeah, we ain't just come out of nowhere.
His stomping ground, but okay, it makes sense now.
So then I remember him like calling me, or we ain't had cell phones at the time, so he had sent a pigeon or some way word to get to, like, man, Mick's looking for you. You said you was gonna have the bike back by 7. Bike still ain't back. Grandma mad. He finna be in trouble. You gotta get the bike back. Then I come with some hot Cheetos, some Slim Jims. Some man, here, Mick, my fault, cuz next time I'm gonna get it back. The time I said I get it back. But that's how we still like. So we grew up together. But now, like I know that I got good stuff going on, especially compared to the people that I grew up around, and that come with a lot of envy. Even when you a good person, even when you humble, even when you love this person, even when you done everything you could for him, that come with a lot of envy. So when you got homies like DeMario, that we call it, the young guys call it backdooring you. You don't got to worry about backdooring you, trying to do something behind your back, or take a picture of you, make it seem like something that it ain't, record you, just weird stuff. You don't got to worry about that. And those people, then you just gotta keep them close. So
that's it.
That's that. But I also want to say 2 things before you ask your question. West on Wealth, I made an Instagram page.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to get into that. Okay. Yeah,
that I made it during COVID. So while all the other people in my industry was out trying to figure out ways to get rich, I took the time to build an Instagram page to explain all this stuff. 529 plans, mutual fund, all that. It's just at West, WES on Wealth. And then the other thing that you had said was people out here living this life, this and that. Everybody, maybe like a year or 2 ago, I reached out to a life insurance agent in Champaign and told them, like, I'm gonna be sending people to you. They don't want nothing crazy. Just give them term policies. And if it's any question or whatever, you can hit me. I put on my Facebook, this is name, this is number. If he try to sell you something crazy, call me, or we could talk it through or whatever. Not one person said anything about it, but everybody, and I don't endorse much, but it's called policygenius.com. Everybody need life insurance. Absolutely. Period. Even if you only getting $25,000, which is enough to put you in the ground, you need life insurance. Like, even if it's not for yourself, and or I don't got kids, I don't need to lead none of nobody. Don't leave that burden of making plates and selling T-shirts and car washes and all that, GoFundMe's. Don't leave that on somebody else. You can get real life insurance, real money, up to like 18 times the amount that you make annually. You can get that for like $20 a month. That's it.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Excuse me. So I want to make sure that I put that out there, because
absolutely.
That's what's up.
got to get on that business.
That's what's up. Man, a lot of gems. My last question.
And I got one more question
Okay,
after you, and
okay.
then we're gonna wrap it up.
All right.
My last question, being a barber platform and going to educate as well as inspire and motivate, just to barbers and us as black people on the real. From a financial standpoint, what advice would you give? I don't care if it's young, middle age, old, because like I said, I'm sitting here and I'm learning. You got my wheels turning as well. What financial advice would you give?
I think the main thing is that living below your means, and not get rid of the instant gratification. You don't need the newest shoes, you don't need the newest car, you don't need the newest iPhone. Delayed gratification, which is I can wait for something. I don't need to feel this fix feeling, because just think, if you want the new $1,300 Burberry coat, you went and bought the coat, now you got it on, you in Champagne, it's cold, but that's it, you got the coat, you know what I mean? Like, you wore it, it's cold, now what? That money is gone, that gratification is gone. You on to the next thing. Now you got the $1,300 coat, you want the Louis Vuitton hat. All right, now I'm on to that. All this stuff just making you broke. Instead, learn how to tell yourself to chill. Just slow down, chill, take your time with stuff. And I think that's what's going to lead you to doing the right things, which is saving, not overspending, investing. Just think about the future, not just for now. And people are, oh man, I could die tomorrow. Yeah, but you could live tomorrow too and be
Absolutely.
broke. So just slow down. It ain't, a lot of people, they don't want to build it up for real. They cool with Quan, Miggs, Jinx, and Osh think I'm on. They think I'm one of them, and that's enough.
Right.
But you gotta get past that. It ain't what other people think or what the image that you created. You want to be able to look yourself in the mirror and be like, I built this. It was hard, but I stuck to it and I built it. And if you got that mindset, I think all the financial disciplines work themselves out.
That's what's up.
And my last question, rule of thumb for when somebody can really retire. What what should they how much should they have based on their, like, what's the rule of thumb when you say, okay, you want to do this, that, and then if all the boxes are checked, I can retire?
The rule of thumb is that you can live off of 4% of your portfolio in perpetuity forever. So however much you need to live, like all of us require a different amount of money each year to live.
Understood.
So whatever yours is, if yours is $40,000 that I need a year, okay, so you know that when it's time for retirement, I need to have a big enough nest egg to where I can pull 4%, and that 4% should equal $40,000 or more, and then you can pull that out in perpetuity. So you just do the math on
And perpetuity is pretty much for the rest of your life.
Forever, yep.
Okay. I learned that because Kanye posted his contracts with Def Jam.
I was gonna ask because I was looking. It sounded like Spanish to me. I was gonna say
forever.
So that's why I knew, like, okay, he's fucked because that contract said perpetuity. But
so I got a funny story about me and Kanye at dinner one time. Y'all want to hear it?
Sure, I'm a Kanye stan. Because I knew you was gonna probably say something about Jay-Z.
Nah, man. I don't know Kanye.
Man.
But Yeah.
This has been very eye opening. Again, just for listeners, I want to say, as we come and we provide this platform, it's just not about barbering at its true art form. It's how to take advantage of the gift that God has given us. You know what I mean? Seen so many barbers who are broke at the end, like you said, client to client, and it's really about building up. If people aren't listening to this episode, then they're really shorting themselves, because it was really some information, and I'm not saying it from I'm as humble as I can be. You know what I'm saying? We're going to provide a platform, and we're going to give everybody something different. You know what I'm saying? Because it's about us, that generational wealth, and us building together. You know what I mean? Because for me, it's about ownership.
For sure.
We can get licensed and we can cut in other people's buildings all day, but at some point in time, as a barber, I know for me, I want to kick my feet up and I want to make my money make money. You know what I'm saying? That's my goal. I want to make money when I'm sleeping. That's the goal, man. So again, we're gonna motivate, we're gonna inspire, we're gonna educate, and that's what this platform is here to do.
Can I say one last thing?
Absolutely.
So you said you see barbers on Instagram nowadays, or social media, and then they got all these other avenues that they done tapped into because of their original skill. And y'all probably heard Nip say that it's called being integrated vertically, where you go to Rock Nation and you ain't just hearing music. We doing sports. Or you want to talk about cigars, cool, we sell those too. Or you want to talk about this, so whatever this is a barber podcast, think about, we've been talking about diversifying and being integrated vertically. Think about all the things that come with being a talented barber or hairstylist. You know which products to use. I
needed that had them brushes for sale.
Exactly. See what I'm saying? You got, I got brushes, I got do-rag. Right. But that's like when you coming up, that's stuff that you could easily get. Right. But that's how your mindset gotta be. I'm not just coming in here to cut hair. I ain't cutting no hairs today. I ain't cutting no hairs today, but I sold 5 brushes and and I don't mean to, and I ain't even gonna say the barbershop, but what I couldn't understand, this was 15, 20 years ago, how y'all could let patrons come in your shop, leave out your shop while they're waiting for a cut, walk 20 feet down the sidewalk, go get something out of there, pay money, and then walk back in your shop. Again, Nip said it, all money in. All money in.
You know what I mean? And that's just kind of where my mindset is at.
I'm glad you said that, though. But simple stuff.
Yeah.
You could go to Costco, get, barbers be doing that, get chips and water, this and that. That's how you gotta think. Your whole situation is a business.
Absolutely.
And all this money that you making from this stuff, when you start doing it, save and invest it. That's it.
And this is my J homie. I done peeped him out on social media. So I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. You feel me? So we gonna gang up on you, Jay. Real talk, man. But man, y'all keep watching what we doing, man. Y'all can get on the training road with us. You can lose out, because we gonna get it. We gonna get it. Like I said, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I ain't never gonna be broke again.
Right on.
Ever.
Right on.
That's a wrap. Man, appreciate y'all.
Man,
for sure.
It's all love, man.
We'd
love to do this again, man.
For sure. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
Love, man. I appreciate y'all, what y'all brothers doing, man. This is it's a blessing, man. Y'all some real G's. We respect it. We understand this our time too. Y'all done did it. Y'all trying to keep doing it. Y'all should tune in, listen to these good brothers, man. I can tell the energy is there. It's gonna work. Just keep going. Keep going.
All right. Love.
Much love. And on our way out, as I always do, I would like to shout out Andy's Clipper, Oyster, Babyliss, Bevel, all the clipper companies that allow us to do what we do, make people look fresh and allow us to cut our way out.
Peace. Until next time.
Put some respect on my name.
Hard times, my mom had to do it all. Working 2 jobs to provide while I pursue the ball. Hoop dreams, no problem doing my own thing. Stepped in the world to get a win for the home team. Laced the sneakers for the crowd in the bleachers. This might get away from the lesson life teaches, but 5'9", don't follow the league guideline. Heart of a champ, but I gotta tuck my pride now. Off to college for the knowledge, try my hand at math. But one call from back home really changed my path. My firstborn, now I got a mouth to feed. Told the Southeast I got a whole new route to lead. Young father, odd jobs, every day is real. Turn to the streets to try to eat or maybe pay a bill. Not proud of it, but I got it cooking good. But prison time on the mind wasn't looking good. I can't afford the price, so I tried the corporate life. Something wasn't sitting right, every night I'm tossing light. They don't appreciate all my hard work, so I went ahead and jumped, let the Lord work. Beer culture 2020, yeah, we taking over. From the Clippers to the hoodies that be draping over. I put the Clippers in my hand. I got a whole different plan. I gotta see how this play out. Hoping that it pay out. Tryna cut my way out. Yeah, I put the Clippers in my hand. I got a whole different plan. I gotta see how this play out. Hoping that it pay out. Tryna cut my way out. Cut my way out.